Verse 31 says, "But let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, slander be put away from you, along with malice. But be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving each other, just as God in Christ has forgiven you." It says here to be kind. It says to be tender-hearted, to forgive as God has forgiven. I have never been on a church staff or dealt with those who come into leadership positions somehow, whether a Sunday school teacher or a deacon that's in a prominent position, that they don't deal with things like this, where they'll get phone calls, they'll get a comment, they'll see an attitude, they'll get a note of some sort. And whenever I see those, I always ask the same question. Is this all it took to generate this? Because I can do a whole lot worse. And I know a lot of people that are in different positions could do a whole lot worse. But was that all it took? If you're visiting today and you thought you walked into a perfect church, you didn't. There's not a perfect person in here, including a pastor, a staff member, a Sunday school teacher. There's not a perfect one of us. And Paul says here that we need to be giving edification, giving grace, being kind, forgiving, tender-hearted, just as God has forgiven us. One of my favorite shows to watch, and if you went at home at my house and you looked on, I got a DVR for my birthday, and I put it in a workout room where we've got some weights and a treadmill in there. And if you went in there, we got a TV that we got fixed, and the DVR is connected to it. On that TiVo type system, I got more Cops shows saved up on there. I love the show Cops. And I just watch it over and over, and not the same ones, but there's so many of them. It's been out for so many years that I will watch them over and over and over and over again, and trying to find episodes that I haven't seen. I almost went into the police academy. I was set to go into the Oklahoma City Police Academy some 15, 20 years, 19 years ago, I guess it was. Well, just got that close into going in. I had a friend in my church in Kansas City area who was a policeman. He was a youth when I first got there. He became a policeman. We were always going to have that moment where I would ride with him throughout the night. And because he liked to work the night shift because it had all the action. And I was just, I want to go with you. I want to go with you so bad. I just love that whole activity, that whole life of what cops do. But I could take our sheriff maybe, or I've had other policemen in church, Mr. Duke, Officer Dugan. We could have them sit down, and I could maybe sit down with them and say, I know a lot about police work. I watch Cops repeatedly. I have been, for years I've watched that show. I've been exposed to what cops do. I was almost a cop myself. I almost rode with a cop. And I could do that, and I could say, this is what I think you need to be doing. This is how I think you ought to be spending. I think you need to be patrolling the neighborhoods more. No, I think you need to be catching speeders more. No, I think you need to be rehabilitating criminals more. No, I think you need to be maybe going after the hardened areas of town a little bit more. You probably asked me, well, did you ever go to the academy? Did you ever get shot at? Did you ever spend a day as a policeman? I say, well, no. You say, well, thank you. I appreciate your concern. And we do a lot of that in the church. We do so much of that to people in all different types of leadership positions. Because we spend a lot of time watching a lot of episodes of church. And maybe we almost were considering going into the ministry at one time or serving in this position in the church. And Paul would tell us, don't allow those things to be turned into opportunities. Because you got more potential than you can shake a stick at. if you just keep focused on who you are in Christ and what God did for you, and carry an attitude of grace, forgiveness, edification, uplifting one another, tender-hearted, realizing that but for the grace of God, each one of us wouldn't have a prayer.